Or Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Bol.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namasricha Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarastim Vyasam Tatojayam Udiraya Nastapareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. Activities of Kapila, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, Text 5. From Deha, Tantra, Prasamaya, Papam, Papmanam, Nidesha, Bhajam, Cha, Vibo, Vibhutaye, Yata, Vataras, Tava, Sukha, Radayas, Tata, Yam, Api, Atma, Pato, Palabdaye. From Deha Tantra Prasamaya Papmanam.
From Deya Tantra Prashamaya Papmanam
Nidesha Bhajam Cha Vibo Vibhutaye.
Desha Bhajam Chavivo Vibhutaye
Yatavataras Tava Sukharadayas.
Yatavataras Tava Sukaradayas
Tatayam Api Atma Patopalabdaye.
Tayam Viyatma Patopalabdaye
Tvam Deha Tantra Prasamaya Prapanam.
Deya Tantra Prashamaya Papmanam
Nidesha Bhajam Cha Vibo Vibhutaye.
Desha Bhajam Chavivo Vibhutaye
Yatavataras Tava Sukharadayas.
Tavataras Tava Sukaradayas
Tatayam Api Atma Patopalabdaye.
Tayam Apiyatma Patopalabdaye
Tvam Deha Tantra Prasamaya Papanam.
Deyatancha Prashamaya Papmanam
Nidesha Bhajam Cha Vibo Vibhutaye.
Deshabhajam Chavibo Vibhutaye
Yatavataras Tava Sukharadayas.
Yatavataras Tava Sukaradayas
Tatayamapi Atma Patopalabdaye.
Apiyatma Patopalabdaye Tvam Deyatantra Prashamaya Papmanam Nideshabhajam Chavibo Vibhutaye Yatavataras Tava Sukaradayas Tatayamapi Atmapatopalabdaye Prashamaya Papmanam Nideshabhajam Chavibo Vibhutaye
Ladies, please. Tom, you, Deha, this body, Tantra, have assumed. Prasamaya, for the diminution. Papmanam, of sinful activities. Nidesha bhajam, of instructions in devotion. Cha, and Vibho, O my Lord. Vibhutaye, for the expansion. Yata, as avatara, incarnations. Tava, your. Sukra adaya, the boar and other forms. Tata, so. Ayam, this incarnation of Kapila. Api, surely. Atmapata, the path of self-realization. Upalabdaye, in order to reveal. My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge in devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will, you assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Purport. In the previous verses, the general transcendental qualifications of the Supreme Personality of Godhead were described. Now the specific purpose of the Lord's incarnation is also described. By his different energies, he bestows different kinds of bodies upon the living entities who are conditioned by their propensity to lord it over material nature. But in the course of time, these living entities become so degraded that they need enlightenment. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that whenever there are discrepancies in the discharge of the real purpose of this material existence, the Lord appears as an incarnation. The Lord's form as Kapila directs the fallen souls and enriches them with knowledge and devotion so that they may go back to Godhead. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like those of the boar, the fish, the tortoise, the half-man, half-lion. We don't need to ring the bell during the class, please. Lord Kapila Dev is also one of the incarnations of Godhead. It is accepted herein that Lord Kapila Dev appeared on the surface of the earth to give transcendental knowledge to the misguided, conditioned souls. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dibyat Bindaranya Kalpajrumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prestalabi Sevyamano Smarami Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarane Tvam Deha Tantra Prasamaya Papanam Nidesha Bhajam Chavivo Vibhutaye Yatavatara Savasukaradayas Tatayamapi Atmapato Palabdaye. My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge and devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will you assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum. It is the full manifestation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead. It is the literary incarnation of Godhead. And in all times and places, but especially in this age of Kali Yuga, it is meant to be the torchbearer, the light to shine in the darkness of this material world. Therefore, distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest welfare activity in human society. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, as Krishna himself, is ultimately meant to elevate everyone to full-fledged eligibility to participate in Krishna's Leela, in one's original Staibhav, one's original identity as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in Goloka Vrindavan, in one of the 5 primary rasas which emanate from Goloka Vrindavan Dham: Golokera, Premadana, Harinam, Sankirtan. Now, as the Srimad Bhagavatam is specifically meant for Kali Yuga, even not, we should be very alert to see, you know, in all the times, places, and circumstances, like we were hearing the demigods, you are the truth in all phases of time in this cosmic manifestation, past, present, and future, creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Devahuti is heralding the incarnation of Kapila Dev at the beginning of the Satya Yuga, and with the extremely great and rare blessing of being her son. We will see when Krishna is now in the womb of Mother Devaki, and when he finally appears, she similarly will offer extraordinary prayers on the platform of complete self-realization, and in her case, as is Mother Devahuti, mixed with the Vatsalya Ras of parenthood. Extraordinary. Now, this Kali Yuga is very, very special. We don't even have to so much mention on the absolute platform the degradation of the age of Kali, because it's a seasonal prediction. Just like we perform our activities winter, spring, summer, and fall, it doesn't really matter. You know, in Siddharari, we will just wear like a kurta in the summertime, and in the wintertime, at least I will wear like maybe 8, 10, or 11 layers, you know, whatever. But the activity is the same. So similarly, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Prabhupada's purport here in the Bhagavad Gita, the one fly in the temple room, and it seems to like me more than anybody else. At that time, I descend myself. Each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission. Prabhupada just explained the particular mission of Lord Buddha, which everybody is in complete ignorance and doesn't really understand, that Buddha came to decry animal sacrifice, and in the name of, and for the particular purpose of stopping this, he decried the Vedic system, because people were thinking that the Vedas give license or even allow on a widespread way for animal sacrifice. Hansarupa Prabhu was telling me he was dealing with people involved in making the marble in Makrana in Rajasthan, and I forget exactly who they were, but they had some idea that they're going to sacrifice a goat to goddess Durga. And the imagined concocted system was that you bring the goat before goddess Durga, and if you sprinkle liquor on the goat's body and the body shakes it off, that means that goddess Durga has accepted the offering. Can you imagine such a thing? So Hansarupa Prabhu was telling me, I hope I got this right, he can correct me if the details are wrong, that he was present watching this one time, and the goat didn't shake the alcohol off. So they were all, oh, goddess Durga hasn't accepted the offering. So they told Hansarupa, from now on or next time, don't come, because you're a devotee of Krishna and goddess Durga. So the offering, so this is Lord Buddha. But then they created Lord Buddha into like whatever they concoct in this age of Kali. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's an exact system that he presented. And the six Goswamis, led by Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, very, very exactly and strictly and without any doubt or ambiguity illustrated. But after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya and the Goswamis and their immediate disciplic followers, so many deviations, apasampradayas. There's something like 12 or 16 different sahajiyas, Aul, Baul, all the different names, Gauranga Nagari, all with a different concoction. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by Indian scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and wherever and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every millennium, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by a particular people under their particular circumstances. In Govinda Dasi's biographical memories of her meeting and being with Srila Prabhupada in the first year or two at the beginning of this movement, 1966, 67, 68, she was, of course, as all the devotees were instructed, you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was only the first canto, and she very much appreciated, just in the introduction, the Lord advented himself on the Falguni Purnima evening of 1407 Shakabda, 1486. And by the will of the Lord, there was a lunar eclipse on that evening. During the hours of the eclipse, it was the custom of the Hindu public to take bath in the Ganges or any other sacred river and chant the Vedic mantras for purification. And Govinda Dasi writes that Srila Prabhupada, in explaining this, chuckled and just was remarking at the Lord's cleverness to trick everybody into chanting Hare Krishna during his appearance, and thus indicating what the purpose of his advent was meant to be. These 16 names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra mentioned in many Puranas and Upanishads, and they are described as the Taraka Brahman Nama of this age. Now here, Devahuti is speaking this glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev Muni, in the Satya Yuga. But this is, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, previously the general qualifications, now the specific. And in verses 6 and 7, which will be given tomorrow and the next day by Parabrahman and Nata Bhargarangas Prabhu, respectively, how could you not think anything but this is predicting the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and his distribution of the holy name? Verse number 7. A whole but the, skip. Verse number 6. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog-eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Oh, how glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the family of dog-eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. Narada Muni instructing Vyasadeva. This was at the end of Dwapara Yuga, beginning of Kali Yuga. On the other hand, that literature which is full of the descriptions of the unlimited Supreme Lord, his name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes, is a different creation meant to bring about a revolution in this world's misdirected civilization. Such literature is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Until Srila Prabhupada came and fulfilled the desire of Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, if you ever get money, print books. Where was the revolution? The Industrial Revolution, the age of the machine. There were no printing presses. You can hear the memory of Pradyumna Prabhu, Prabhupada's Panditji, his wonderful devotee who was accompanying Srila Prabhupada. He joined in exactly where, New York or Boston, but like 1967. So he was, in his memory, he's saying that you can look at the works of the Goswamis and said, I hope that this book brings pleasure to my elder brother, Sanatana Goswami. They were writing the book with no idea that it would be published, what the speaker distributed. They were writing it for the pleasure of their, in Rupa Goswami's case, his elder brother and his spiritual master. But ultimately, that humility, just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, his humility in writing the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, every chapter he's expressing his disqualification, his humility, begging for the mercy. Hey Rupa Raghunatha Padiyar Krishnadas, I, the most fallen, Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, go continue to chant the epic Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the epitome of transcendental bliss. So it is the duty of the subsequent disciples to take the words of the spiritual master on their head and distribute them, and distribute their gift of knowledge to everyone, far and wide. Srila Prabhupada, about this, they must have, because they're chanting the holy name, and what to speak of with determination, and with a vow, and even higher than that, with the purpose completely in line with the Lord's purpose to uplift the faithful and suppress the miscreant. That is the Lord's mission in every incarnation, in every time, place, and circumstance. All of you have been in Lord Chaitanya's Leela previously, and by the will of the Lord, He has directed you to take your birth in the Western countries to be here when I arrived. The Lower East Side of Manhattan has a history of suffering as old as New York. This immigrant, that immigrant, the Irish driven by the 1840s potato famine, then Eastern European Jews fleeing the pogroms of Russia and Eastern Europe, made the most densely populated. If you walk around the Bhakti Center in like Alphabet City, you'll see some of these like old Jewish synagogues, like 150 years old, for example. And Puerto Ricans and blacks and this, that, the other thing. But then in the 1960s, a new type of slum dweller appeared. There have been many analyzations of why they appeared and then why they suddenly disappeared, but nobody could really understand why. Like a great instinctual traveling of a flock of birds, they came. The young, disenfranchised youth. My dear, beautiful, what was Prabhupada's word? My dear, beautiful, bewildered youth of America, the flower of your country. And the so-called older generation, your fathers and mother, your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. The times they are changing. The coming of the pure devotee, the mission of the Lord and His pure devotee changes everything. The principles of the Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, for that matter to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 + 2 = 4, or to make it more simple, 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4, maybe a little bit higher to understand, is a mathematical principle that is true in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of the incarnation is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. So 2 + 2 = 4. The ultimate principle is yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Srila Prabhupada's wife. We're vegetarian. We're living a pious life. We're offering our food. That is enough. But to become a preacher and to, alter our family life and our home life and our money, that's just taking a little bit too far. So, pious life, 1 + 1 = 2. It's very nice. But she wasn't willing to go on to the higher mathematics, which is based on 1 + 1 = 2. That is pure devotional service. And what to speak of such a personality as His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. He eclipses all others because of his, how to describe, his everything. I was hearing the memory of, what was her name? Sarva Mangala Dasi. She was from England, from London. And she was, perhaps her main service during Prabhupada's time was being Pujari. She was Pujari in London. She was Pujari in Juhu for Radha Rasa Bihari. And devotees are asked, what do you think was Prabhupada's most outstanding quality? It's like the last question asked in the interview. And she was describing, it's not that just Prabhupada gave us Brahminical initiation, which is, you'll hear in these verses coming. This is, as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he defeated this caste Brahmanism. This is what ultimately destroyed India and created Pakistan and all the partition. These are all Indian people, but they were in the lower classes, and then the Brahmins, you know, lording it over and this and that, and then conquering Muslims said, why are you putting up with this nonsense? Become part of our religion, and you're our brother, and what do you need this nonsense for? That is the history. So, yes. So that he, Svarmangala Devi Dasi, Prabhupada gave the opportunity to personally associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you know, offering Krishna things that he likes, so many different types of beautiful dresses and ornaments and aromatic scents and substances and all varieties of tastes, beautifully prepared food stuff. This is so, so special. And as Prabhupada, as our spiritual master, he is the leader for all of us. His love for Krishna is so vast and so great and so special, and we as his disciples, Krishna will accept us because we're his disciples, and he's giving us opportunity to come before the deities and associate with them and have seemingly the deities depend upon us. And so she was remarking, this was Prabhupada's greatest gift that she realized. And Govinda Dasi, she was brought up in Texas and, you know, strict Christian upbringing, and she was disturbed by religious groups saying that if you're not part of our thing, then you're going to go to hell, and you're like, you know, you're not saved, etc., etc., etc. But then seeing Prabhupada's universal and so open description of how love of Godhead is present everywhere, just like it said here, we were hearing, it's not just on Indian soil, but everywhere. People can hold meetings to glorify the Lord in their respective language with melodious songs, and if such performances are executed in an offenseless manner, it is certain that the participants will gradually attain spiritual perfection without having to undergo more rigorous methods. At such meetings, everyone, the learned and the foolish, the rich and the poor, the Hindus and the Muslims, the Englishmen and the Indians, and the Chandalas and the Brahmins can all hear the transcendental sounds and thus cleanse the dust of material association from the mirror of the heart. To confirm the Lord's mission, all the people of the world will accept the holy name of the Lord as the common platform for the universal religion of mankind. In other words, the advent of the holy name took place along with the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have interrupted our Mangal Arati look at Prahlad Maharaj's prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, and we will return at an appropriate time. But now we are hearing of the prayers by the demigods and the devotees just before the appearance of Lord Krishna. But Prahlad Maharaj, just like Kapila Dev, he has similar profound realization and glorification. Speaking before Lord Nrsingadev, "My dear Lord, you appeared as Hayagriva with the head of a horse. You killed the two demons known as Madhu and Kaitaba, who were full of the modes of passion and ignorance. Then you delivered the Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma. For this reason, all the great saints accept your forms as transcendental, untinged by material qualities." And this famous verse, which Srila Prabhupada spoke on several times, one particular time most notable was at the 1976 Gaur Purnim festival in Mayapur, which was the largest Gaur Purnim festival to date. So many thousands of his disciples coming from all over the world. So as Prabhupada spoke this on the Gaur Purnim day. "In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore you are known as Triyuga, or the Lord who appears in three yugas." So Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, Radha and Krishna combined, yet he, the Lord, appears as a sannyasi Brahmin, as the ideal acharya. Although Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appears in Kali Yuga, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita understood to be the most important biography of Lord Chaitanya? Because the Siddhanta, the Shastric and philosophical conclusion that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, irrefutable, undeniable, is presented most magnificently by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, especially foundationally in the Adi Leela, chapters 2 and 3, chapter 2 especially. He never asserted himself as such, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On the contrary, whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as being as good as Krishna, he blocked his ears with his hands, denying his identity with Krishna. Why did he do this? Because he was playing the part of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya knew that in Kali Yuga there would be many bogus incarnations pretending to be God, and therefore he avoided asserting himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, in many Vedic literatures, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam. When was the conversation with the Nava Yogendras and Maharaj Nimi? What yuga was that? Anyway, long, millions of years ago, Maharaj Nimi was instructed, Krishna Varnam Trisa Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumeda Saha. In Kali Yuga, intelligent men worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always accompanied by his associates such as Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. The entire Krishna consciousness movement, not some of it, not part of it, not a little of it, not a portion of it, but the entire Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principle of the Sankirtan movement inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, one who tries to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the Sankirtan movement knows everything perfectly. He is Sumedha, a person with substantial intelligence. So this is a very important theme or conclusion that one should keep throughout one's study of Srimad Bhagavatam, what to speak of throughout one's entire devotional life and career in this body and forever, is that ultimately Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Sankirtan movement is emanating from Goloka Vrindavan, which is what all devotional service and all devotee association, all scriptural reading, everything is ultimately meant to elevate us to become eligible to go to Goloka Vrindavan Dham. That's why Srila Prabhupada has come to give us this opportunity to go home back to Godhead, to Goloka Vrindavan Dham. And in all times, places, and circumstances, the chanting of the holy name is the most easy and sublime, but especially and practically speaking, in Kali Yuga, it is the only way to go back home, back to Godhead, to distribute, participate and distribute this Sankirtan movement. We will stop here and leave time for questions from Deha Tantra Prasamaya Papmanam Nidesha Bhut Bhajam Cha Vivo Vibhutaye Yatavataras Tava Sukaradayas Tataimapi Atma Patopalabdaye. My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge in devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will, you will assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for a wonderful class. My question is, was Kekehi, when the Lord appeared, Krishna garb, the three times the Lord appears as the mother of what, Devaki or Krishna garb or something so?
I'm not hearing very well.
The three times when the Lord appeared as the son of Devaki, what was Kekehi involved in that pastimes too or no?
He's asking about like Krishna, Garba, Devaki, and I think Yashoda, like three births of the same person, like appeared. And now he's asking, is that same person also the mother of Lord Ram?
It's not mentioned, so I can't answer the question authoritatively. I can just say that it's not mentioned, so by that I would say no. Maybe there's some deeper or more authoritative realization from an acharya or qualified devotee.
Yeah, I know that the when the mother asked, she said 3 times I'll take birth 3 times as your son. So
Yeah.
I just want to.
Know this to be true.
Yeah. Another question is that he said when you offer like obeisance to Prabhupada or the deities, which side do you pay obeisance? Right side, left side? I don't know. So I was being told when
the
you
system
offer
is-
on the left side it means defeat. So I don't know. So can you confirm something here?
When the spiritual master is present, you pay obeisances on your right side. And when the spiritual master has departed the planet, you offer your obeisances on the left side, as we're doing. That's my understanding. You've heard that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. Hare Krishna. Thanks for the class.
Might do better just to speak loud without the microphone, because it just creates an echo and ricochet and just...
So the Lord appears to alleviate.
Speak louder.
The Lord appears to rescue the fallen souls, and as we're plunging into the depth of Kali Yuga, and I don't think the Shastra mentions any more appearances, incarnations of the Lord.
Kalki.
Kalki, well, this is 425,000 years.
And his program will just be mass decapitation.
So we're not to expect any Shaktivesh avatars, Shaktiavesha, or any more incarnations for the next 425,000 years.
Do you feel a lacking?
It's not very encouraging.
We
not
should
very
maybe
encouraging.
take stock of what we've been given, right?
I mean, we're blessed. We're so close to
It's like a
Prabhupada.
spoiled kid, you know. Mommy and daddy will say, count your blessings, you know. Or like a rich kid from the upper class, parents want to teach him a lesson. All right, so you go administer to kids in some starving country or something, and then, wow, I guess I won't complain that I only got 5 gifts for Christmas when I wanted 10 or something, The Jewish, they have Hanukkah, so they think, I should get a present for all 8 days of... We should just apply the principle that what we've been given. I mean, Prabhupada, one person, what about my mind? What about my mind? And Prabhupada just had to, please accept this Maha Mantra. I have no other medicine. I have no other answer. So why aren't people joining? Why are things difficult? Well, that was when you joined 47 years ago, but today it's maybe, but perhaps we're not applying the process individually, and individual, that's in your hand, but collectively, what can be done? But Prabhupada, he didn't have the cooperation of his God brothers, more or less, and his spiritual master's institution had splintered, so he had to do it all by himself. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said he'll do everything himself in due course of time. So we don't want to get too much hung up in all this type of downer kind of thinking, and oh my God, and woe is me, and well, it was like this back then, and it ain't like this now. I guess the only thing left for me to do is just cry the rest of my life away. Well, not that much, but, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, What more can I say than that, We have everything we need. Ayendra Prabhu, who it was so exemplary to stay in Vrindavan and live in Vrindavan and, as a real devotee. He was offering one Vyas Puja to Srila Prabhupada in the microphone in front of all the devotees. And he was saying how one devotee who had left Prabhupada's movement was saying, there's no inspiration here. You should come and get inspiration here on the other side of town from such and such. And I just said, my response to that was, why do I not have everything I need to be inspired right here at the feet of Srila Prabhupada? And Srila Prabhupada has given everything. And then Ayendra Prabhu, when he would practically burst into tears, Prabhupada had died to give us that thing. But it's a question, who wants that thing? This ISKCON movement is complete, and everything is here. It's just a question of the individual sincerity to want it and to accept it. But accepting it, there's the story Srila Bhaktisiddhanta tells in the Upakhana Upadesh instructive stories, popcorn bondage. Does everyone know this story? So it's a very charming story. So, still in India, you see like on the Govardhan Parikram path and other places, pilgrimage, that there's, maybe, little rest house there, a roof, some drinking water, some benches, a place you can lay down, get out of the hot sun. So, traveler, like a pilgrim, well-to-do, not poverty-stricken. He came into one of these places, and he saw like this urchin, this like destitute person just wearing a niggardly little loincloth, dirty, wretched, skinny, and he was embracing the pillar tightly, and he went up to him and said, are you hungry? And he just kind of like, he couldn't make a legible sentence or speak any word. He was just like, so, okay, and he went to a nearby shop and bought a bag of popcorn. Said, here's some popcorn for you. And he's hungry, he wants to take it, but he's like, his arms are embracing the pillar. And so the well-wishing, pilgrim said to him, listen, all you got to do is take your hands from around the pillar, and then you can eat the popcorn, to your heart's content. No, I got to keep embracing the pillar. And then, all right, he's going to sprinkle some of the popcorn in his hand, but he can't. And finally, he just, like, all the popcorn's on the floor, and the pilgrim is like, oh my God, what an idiot, and just that's it. That's the end of the story. Would you like to hear the purport? So, the spiritual master and the saintly persons want to give us for our nourishment, like Devahuti is saying that, what is it? Knowledge for devotion and liberation. And, we're not supposed to desire liberation, but I think liberation is quite a great thing to achieve, freedom from birth and death and being liberated from the material world. But we're being given devotion, bam, which includes liberation, which is like nothing by comparison. And one of the verses coming up in the 10th canto, from one who has accepted you, this ocean of material existence gets shrunk to the little bit of a water in a hoof print of a calf. Where are hoof prints filled with water of a calf to be found? In Goloka Vrindavan. I don't think you'll find them here in New York City. Anyway, yes. Well, anyway. What?
You finished the purport.
Oh, the purport. So, because we're insisting on embracing the pillar of material desire, embracing the pillar of this material world, it's the saintly persons and the spiritual master can't lead us to real welfare. It's our own fault. So we should therefore give up the embrace of this, the useless pillar of this material world, and accept the popcorn, what the spiritual master wants to offer us. You can't have both. Or mercy for the earnest only. This is another story, that a hapless pilgrim fell into a blind well and was crying for help for days. And then finally, by his great good fortune, someone came by, because people make farms or houses and they abandon them for like 100 years later. They're grown over with grass, and then somebody falls in there. How did they go over there out in the middle of nowhere anyway? Whatever, they just wandered off. But it's off the path. Nobody's going to walk by. Their death is assured. It's falling into the blind well of materialistic life. Who's going to save you out there? Nobody. But if a devotee comes by, so we lower the rope into the well. Here are the instructions of Krishna, Guru Krishna, the Shastra, everything you need. And the person it may be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Days have gone by. I'm starving. I'm thirsty. I'm near death. Maybe I fell in the well. Maybe I'm injured. And instead of the person grabbing onto the rope, the person said, oh, could you maybe help me to wrap my fingers around the rope? It's such insincerity. So we come to Krishna consciousness, and then, we're not willing to do from our side. What can the spiritual master do? Maya makes us think that it's much more difficult than it actually is. Prabhupada said, what are these stumbling blocks? With one kick of my boot, I can kick away your... It's not that Maya is strong, but your purpose is weak. So Srila Prabhupada is the ultimate strong personality, and by associating with him and serving him, we will also become strong and ultimately impervious to the entreaties and false discouragements of the illusory energy. Thank you very much. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasnandubhya evacha. All of you patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. 2 good verses coming up.